Petting-induced aggression represents a major portion of feline aggression cases seen in veterinary behavior clinics, though exact percentages vary by clinic and study methodology. Your cat sits purring on your lap, eyes half closed, tail wrapped neatly around their paws. You stroke their back once, twice, 10 times. Then, without warning, teeth sink into your hand, claws rake your wrist. The cat leaps away and vanishes under the bed. What just happened? Most of us assume our cats snap out of nowhere. The science tells a different story. These attacks follow patterns, and once you recognize them, the randomness disappears. Aggression ranks among the most common reasons people bring cats to behaviorists or, sadly, surrender them to shelters. Aggression problems represent a large portion of feline behavioral consultations in veterinary clinics worldwide. Owners describe these attacks in strikingly similar terms: unprovoked, random, totally out of character. When researchers and veterinary behaviorists dig into case histories, video recordings, and medical records, a clear pattern emerges. Most sudden attacks fit into 5 well-defined categories, each with identifiable triggers, risk factors, and underlying mechanisms. True randomness is rare. What looks like a peaceful cat exploding without reason is usually a cat responding to something we missed, misunderstood, or didn't know to look for. Petting-induced aggression represents one of the most commonly reported types of feline aggression in veterinary behavior practices. The scenario plays out the same way in home after home. A cat settles onto a lap or beside an owner on the sofa. Purring begins. The owner strokes the cat's head, neck, back. Minutes pass. Then the cat bites, scratches, and bolts. Owners insist there was no warning. Video analysis proves otherwise. Before the bite, cats display a cascade of signals. Ears rotate sideways or flatten. Pupils dilate. Tails begin twitching or lashing. Skin ripples along the back. Bodies tense. We simply don't notice these cues, or we notice them too late. 3 overlapping mechanisms may explain why petting flips from pleasant to painful. First, tactile sensory overstimulation. Repeated stroking activates cutaneous sensory pathways in the skin. Touch and pain signals partly converge in the spinal cord and brain. When stimulation crosses a threshold, pleasant sensation may shift into irritation or outright pain, much like how a gentle tickle becomes unbearable if it continues too long. Imagine someone lightly tapping your shoulder, then doing it 50 times in a row without stopping. Second, approach withdrawal conflict. Domestic cats descended from the African wildcat, a largely solitary species. Your cat may seek proximity to you, sitting nearby or on you, but not want prolonged active handling. As petting continues beyond their preferred duration, conflicting motivations build tension until the cat uses aggression to make it stop. Third, body region sensitivity. Cats allo-groom each other, licking and nibbling the head, neck, and chin, areas they cannot easily reach themselves. Stroking these zones tends to be well tolerated, but the back, flanks, belly, and base of the tail are rarely touched in cat-to-cat social grooming. Nerve density and sensitivity differ across the body. Petting those regions may feel intrusive or threatening. No study has directly measured nerve firing or central sensory processing during petting-induced attacks, so all 3 mechanisms remain hypotheses. Different cats likely fall into different subtypes. One may genuinely experience tactile hypersensitivity. Another may tolerate touch but hit a social contact limit. A third may react only when you stroke a sensitive area. We lack biomarkers to distinguish them, but the behavior itself is unmistakable and predictable once you know the pattern. The second common surprise attack isn't aggression at all. House cats are obligate carnivores whose wild ancestors hunted small prey 10 to 20 times per day. Hunting sequences, stalk to pounce to bite, are hardwired. When a young indoor cat crouches behind a sofa, pupils dilate, hindquarters wiggle, and then launches at your ankle, that cat is practicing predation. Veterinary behavior literature calls this misdirected predatory behavior or play-related aggression. The attacks are silent. No hissing, no growling, no defensive posture, just ambush. The cat treats moving hands, feet, and ankles as prey, not as parts of a bonded companion. Risk factors cluster tightly. Early weaning raises the odds. Research indicates that early weaning before 8 weeks of age is associated with increased behavioral problems in cats, including higher rates of aggression and stereotypic behaviors. Cats weaned at 14 to 15 weeks or older showed the lowest aggression and fewest stereotypic behaviors like excessive grooming or wool sucking. Single cat households, indoor-only environments with poor enrichment, and homes where humans previously encouraged rough play with hands or feet all increase misdirected predation. Adolescent cats, and those poorly socialized to other cats during the critical 2 to 9 week window, are especially prone. From a welfare perspective, these attacks signal unmet behavioral needs. A cat stalking your feet isn't angry or spiteful. That cat lacks appropriate outlets for species-typical hunting behavior. The solution isn't punishment. The solution is redirection. Scheduled interactive play with wand toys that mimic prey movement, puzzle feeders that require manipulation, and environmental complexity that allows the cat to express predatory sequences safely. Redirected aggression represents a major category of human-directed attacks seen in veterinary behavior clinics. The mechanism is straightforward, but the experience is terrifying. A cat becomes intensely aroused or frustrated by a stimulus it cannot reach. Another cat outside the window, a sudden loud noise, an unfamiliar smell, an intruder. The cat cannot attack the true source. So arousal gets dumped onto the nearest available target, often the owner. Attacks can be violent and prolonged. Arousal persists for 30 minutes, sometimes days. Owners often miss the triggering event entirely. They see only the explosion and conclude the cat attacked without reason. But if you rewind the timeline, the outdoor cat was at the window 2 hours earlier. The doorbell rang this morning. A dog barked in the yard yesterday. The cat's nervous system remained in a high-threat state, and the owner walked into the crossfire. Domestic cats possess relatively few appeasement and reconciliation behaviors compared to social species like dogs or primates. Once arousal escalates, cats tend to stay stuck in that state. They lack the behavioral toolkit to de-escalate quickly. If a human intervenes in a cat-to-cat conflict or approaches a cat fixated on a window, the human may be perceived as the nearest threat or simply receive the overflow of unresolved arousal. One veterinary review describes redirected aggression as intense fear, frustration, or rage that has lost its original focus. Physiological studies in other species suggest redirected aggression may lower stress hormone responses in the aggressor, functioning as a coping mechanism, but this has not been directly demonstrated in cats. Chronic intercat tension amplifies the risk. Research indicates that multi-cat households frequently experience intercat tension, with new cat introductions being a common trigger for household conflicts. Cats suppress overt fighting for weeks or months, displaying only subtle signals: staring, resource blocking, disturbed sleep, changes in litter box use. Then one day, a human walks between two tense cats at a doorway, and the powder keg ignites. Any new aggression in a previously tolerant cat should trigger a medical workup before assuming a behavioral cause. Pain is a frequent driver. Osteoarthritis, dental disease, ear infections, soft tissue injuries, and skin conditions all make handling aversive. A Delphi consensus study of 19 feline medicine experts identified 25 behavioral signs sufficient to indicate pain, including lameness, difficulty jumping, reluctance to move, decreased grooming and play, withdrawal, hiding, and a more irritable general mood. Cats evolved to conceal pain. Owners miss subtle mobility changes, reduced jumping, or withdrawal, but they notice when the cat finally snaps during grooming or lifting. The attack feels sudden. The pain has been building for weeks. Neurological and systemic diseases produce episodes of abnormal behavior that appear abrupt and inexplicable. Seizure disorders can include a preictal phase with pacing, crying, anxiety, bizarre behavior, and aggressiveness before obvious seizure activity. Hepatic encephalopathy, hyperthyroidism, hypertensive encephalopathy, hypoglycemia, and strokes all cause seizures and aberrant behavior, including aggression, in cats. Feline hyperesthesia syndrome remains poorly understood. Episodes feature rippling skin over the lower back, sudden frantic grooming, tail chasing, dilated pupils, vocalization, and sometimes aggressive outbursts. Some neurologists argue the syndrome involves seizure-like activity in the nervous and endocrine systems. Others view the syndrome as a behavioral conflict or compulsive disorder. Responses to behavior modification and psychoactive drugs vary widely. High-quality controlled trials are lacking. True idiopathic aggression, violent attacks with no identifiable trigger, even after exhaustive medical and behavioral investigation, is rare and poorly understood. Most sudden attacks fit predictable patterns once context and subtle body language are examined. Petting-induced misdirected play, redirected, fear-defensive, and pain-induced aggression together account for the vast majority of cases in veterinary behavior clinics. Developmental history matters. Weaning age, early socialization, Chronic stress, especially in multi-cat homes, and unrecognized pain all shift the threshold at which a cat flips from coping to attacking. Your cat isn't snapping out of nowhere. Your cat is responding to stimuli you haven't learned to see yet. The better you understand the patterns, the less random the behavior becomes, and the safer and calmer life becomes for both of you. These attacks reveal something deeper about what it means to share your home with a species that was never fully domesticated, that still carries the nervous system of a solitary hunter, that processes touch and threat and territory in ways fundamentally different from our own. Learning to read those signals isn't just about preventing bites. It's about respecting the animal your cat actually is, not the one you wish it would be.